Hey designers, today's guest is Berkley Sweetapple, a US attorney who helps creative entrepreneurs protect themselves with crystal clear contracts and trademarking. And she also created a legal contract bundle for designers just like you. And let me tell you, it's gold. I've got an affiliate link where you can get 20% off, and it's going to be in the show notes. So let's get back to it a little bit later in this episode. But first, let's get ready to take some serious notes. I would love if we started with a little bit of background, how you got into it, because I think now you just have your online business, but is it how it started? Did you work in a firm before? So very interesting to hear more about you.
Yes. So I'll start in law school, where I was voted in my last year of law school as most likely to quit the practice of law and become a housewife. Um, I was not interested in like the traditional legal path at all. But when I graduated, I started working at a firm because that's what you have to do. And I did litigation, which is like the worst type of law. It's like where everybody is already having problems and fighting. And I hated it. And I was like, how do I get out of this career? So I started like a legal lifestyle blog because I enjoyed like writing and being creative. And it was just when like influencers were becoming a thing and like online businesses were kind of taking off. Um, like a decade ago. So I met all of these other female business owners who were trying to like get out of their 9 to 5s, and they would come to me with their legal questions like, do I need a privacy policy? Do I need a trademark? And that wasn't like the type of law I was practicing at the time, but I enjoyed working with women so much who are kind of in the same boat as me and trying to like get out of the traditional work schedule and have freedom, that I was like, okay, I can still stay in law and just a different type of law and work with the people that I want to work with. And so that's what I did. So while I was doing litigation, I kind of started taking on cases that were in this practice area. And then in 2021, I started my online contract template shop. And then a few months later, there was just a demand for one-on-one work rather than like templates. So I started my law firm in 2021.
Okay, so it's been now 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting. So you started with the templates and the templates. I mean, you're helping female entrepreneurs then in general.
Yes. Yeah. Mostly female entrepreneurs, creatives, service providers, coaches,
Yeah, and
online.
we'll
Yeah.
talk about it later, but I'm very excited about the interior design bundle that you've created. It's really useful when you just have the essentials to get you started. For a long time, I thought I didn't really need contracts. I was like, I mean, I'm so small, and I'm working online. So compared to some designers who actually have to go on site and there's a lot more risk, I always thought because I have an online business, it's fine. I don't need to protect myself. My clients will always pay me.
Right.
People will not pay me. But then it happened a couple times that I had to chase for a month people who were not paying me, and I started thinking I need to protect myself because at the end of the day, it's not just me, but it's also people I work with. It's my team, it's other clients that being impacted by all of these little things, and your energy is just on this rather than growing your business and helping the clients you already have. So then I started looking into contracts. But so now you're a US based lawyer. So the contracts that you have, I assume, are only work for Americans.
Yeah, so they're drafted for use in all 50 states.
Mhm.
It's always a good idea to have a lawyer review your contract who's located in your state, but they're reviewed by multiple attorneys and designed with creatives.
Mhm.
So, like, I worked with 2 interior designers to draft the interior design agreement. So, I made sure like it made sense and it worked, and we're covering industry specific scenarios. Um, so, yes, I would say mostly in the US. There probably would need to be a few tweaks if you're in the UK.
Yeah, so I've been following you for a while. So I thought about you, but my business is registered in the UK. So I then had to go to a UK lawyer and make sure, but I was happy to see that what I have is similar to the ones you have in your shop in the bundle. So, like we'll get into it, but I was very happy about that. But guess we could start with the foundations. And I've touched a little bit on some of the issues that I've had, but why is it so important that designers and everybody in general who's starting a business has contracts in place from the beginning, not when they feel like they're big enough, you know?
So you hit the nail on the head when you said that it's about protecting yourself. So it's not just protecting yourself from what could happen, like liability wise and financially, but it's also protecting your energy. So when you have contracts in place, what it does is it makes your relationship with the other party really clear so that there's no back and forth and like miscommunications and scope creep and boundary issues. You know what to expect from them. They know what to expect from you in terms of your time, what you're providing, payment, what's going to happen if somebody misses a payment. So you don't have to like waste your time kind of going back and forth with someone or like being unsure, because we don't have time for like, you know, things that aren't predictable. We need to have control over what we have control over because there's so much that could happen in life and in business that we don't have control over. So it's just a good way to make sure that you're protected from the start. Because what I've seen in litigation and just working with people for 10 years is problems that could be really small and inexpensive to prevent become really expensive and a huge headache if we ignore them. So it's better to just be proactive.
And I feel also like it creates a better relationship with the clients because everybody knows where they stand, what their responsibilities are, what the boundaries are. So then it's a smoother process for both parties.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It establishes expectations.
Yeah.
So people know, you know,
And then
how,
clients also know they can't take advantage of you so easily. So yeah,
and
it's been so much more relaxing for me since I've put the contracts in place, and I feel like people respect you more when you look professional and you have
yes,
contracts.
it's an element of professionalism. In this day and age, if you're working with a legitimate service provider, you expect them to have contracts.
Yeah,
And when it's a good contract, you look that much more professional.
yeah, exactly. And if someone is just starting out, what are the must-have contracts that they should get ASAP?
Yeah. So this is why I created the bundles that you were talking about. So I have one for each category of service provider. So for the interior designer, there's a bundle that has the essential contracts, which is your client agreement.
Mhm.
Most important, the contract you have with your client that's going to spell out like how you get paid, what deliverables you're providing, what services you're providing, you know, all of the nitty gritty of the relationship and what to expect from each person. Um, Website policies are another big one. So website terms of use and privacy policy, you've probably seen them on like the footer of a website.
Mhm.
Your website terms of use is your contract with anyone who comes to your website. Your privacy policy is legally required and it tells your website visitors how you collect, store, and share their user data.
Mhm.
So both are really important to have on your website and you can get in trouble for not having them. And then the other document we include in the bundles is the independent contractor agreement.
Mhm.
So that's when you hire someone part-time. And that's really important because say you hire like a website designer or a graphic designer to make like a logo for you. You can't like trademark or copyright that logo unless you own the rights to it and that's documented in a written agreement.
Okay.
So, and that's you want to be able to trademark and copyright so that you actually own it. You can stop someone from using it.
Mhm.
And you don't have that power unless the person who created it signs those rights over, which is the type of language we include in an independent contractor agreement when you hire on any freelancer.
Well, actually, this contract I'm interested because so I have my so we're an outsourcing firm for designers. So essentially we are freelancers that they hire when they need work to be done in their business. So I have a contract for them. Should they send me as well this document that you're talking about, or
So
it?
that would be more favorable for them.
Mm,
If you would like a document that's like written in your favor where you're a consultant and you can choose whether to own the intellectual property you create, we have a freelancer agreement in the shop that's written for freelancers.
okay.
So it depends. The people you're hiring, you will want to have them sign independent contractor agreements. If you're acting as like a consultant or a freelancer, you'll want the freelancer agreement.
Okay. Yeah, good to know. I have never, you know that I have never received a contract from a client. I'm the one sending them.
Yeah.
It's funny. So I don't think people know how important it is that they also protect themselves on their side. So guys, you will
Well,
need.
that's why we're here. We're educating.
I know, and the web policies that you were referring to, I think I waited 4 years to get that. I'm
Well,
like,
that was
I see
huge.
the
Like
content. I'm like, oh Jesus.
when I was writing my blog, I stopped writing it for a while because I was so overwhelmed with all the legal stuff and I didn't have expertise in that area. So like I knew I needed a privacy policy, but I didn't know where to find one. I didn't know how to write one. And I was like, just buried my head in the sand. And I'm like, I'm just not going to do this. And that's why legal is so important on like an energetic level. Like I
Mhm.
find that a lot of women hold themselves back and they're afraid to like really sell, really put themselves out there because they know they're not protected. And so once they protect themselves, they feel more confident.
Yeah, I think whether it's the legal side or the financial side, women tend to kind of avoid the subject. But it's so important. And I love that the bundle is only the essentials, so it doesn't feel overwhelming because then you spend a little bit of time changing the templates to match your business, obviously. But it's so much easier when everything is done for you in mind. So I'm very excited for my clients to start sending me your templates. Is there like what's the biggest legal mistake that new creative entrepreneurs make that you've seen? I don't know if you have like an example in mind or.
I mean, the biggest mistake, I would say, which is more trademark related than contract related. So I can tell you a contract mistake too. But the biggest mistake overall legally, I would say, is like launching a business or an offer with a name that they haven't made sure is like legally available.
Mhm.
So a lot of times people will launch a podcast or like come up with a new business name and it's already trademarked by somebody else. And then they get a cease and desist and they have to rebrand.
Mhm.
And all of this could have been avoided by just hiring an attorney, making sure the name is available, and then trademarking it first.
Yeah, I want to get into trademark in a minute because you're not going to be very happy with me.
That's what everyone says. Don't worry. I don't judge.
Uh, yeah, so we discussed what the bundle includes. I love it's only 4 documents as well, so it's great. So, okay, trademark. I mean, so I've been in business since actually I registered my name in 2017, and I've been really in business since 2020.
Hmm.
I still haven't trademarked anything. I just checked that the name was available when I created the website. And I
But
keep
that's a
saying,
common, yeah,
I keep
that's a
saying, I'm
common
not
business
trying to be,
owner.
it's a considerable investment, right? And it's always like, oh yes, but I have more, things to invest in before I do the trademarking.
Yes. And people often do that. So they'll have like the shiny object syndrome where they're like, I want the pretty logo and the brand photographs and the website. But you're building your house on like rented land
Mhm.
if you don't own the trademark. So your LLC name, your Instagram handle, your domain name, those things don't do anything in terms of owning your brand. Only a federal trademark ensures that you have the exclusive right to use your name. You can stop copycats and you can prevent against a rebrand. Because if someone else were to trademark first, they would own the name and they could force you to rebrand and give you like 2 weeks notice to change your name, which is more expensive in the long run than just doing the trademark upfront.
Yeah, and actually it makes me think that so my uncle is in Italy and he got into a big legal battle against Lamborghini.
Oh my gosh.
And he just had like a small restaurant, but they went against him and he has no money, to pay such a big,
Right.
but it was still a legal battle and he needed a lawyer and everything. So in the end, it was obvious that he spent so much more money going against them than just trademarking the name in the first place. And I think it's difficult because a lot of us may be thinking, I want to be in business for a while because what if it doesn't work? I'll have spent all that money on trademarking at the beginning, and then I close down my business or whatever. But now I feel like it would be about time that I think about trademark. And the biggest question is for me, but also for a lot of entrepreneurs who have an international business, because I told you, so my business is registered in the UK, but I have most of my clients are US based. So I don't know if my business should be trademarked in the UK, US, both.
So probably both, but I would start in the US if your clients are all there.
Okay.
And I want to touch on something you said, which is very important, which is the mindset that I'm not going to invest in my brand and I'm not going to own my name because because I'm not sure if I'm going to be successful.
Mhm.
And I think it's really important that we act the way that we want to see ourselves end up. So we want to be a seven-figure business. How would a seven-figure business act? Would they be waiting and seeing what happens, or would they be treating their business like a business from the start? And I often find that like the actions follow the mindset. When you have the mindset of, I'm a legitimate business and I will scale to seven figures and I am treating my business like a legitimate business, that's what happens. But if we have these doubts and these like, we don't take the actions, that's naturally what happens is we don't succeed. So I think that's an important piece too, is like taking ownership of your future and your mindset and your business and deciding how you want things to end up and acting like that version of you.
I love that. You're talking to someone who loves all like manifestation, journaling,
Yeah.
stepping into the next version of yourself. What do you want? How would Chris act, if she were, at the next goal? So I love what you just said. I'm thinking, this year I have big goals for my business. So I feel like trademarking is the next
Yeah.
step.
And I can answer your question too about, so you want to trademark where you're doing business. And if you're an international business, there is something called the Madrid system, where there's like a standard application that you can file in multiple countries that belong to the Madrid system, but you have to pay the filing fees for each of those individual countries. So there's not just like a global application. You apply in, the countries where you're doing business.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, we have also a client in Dubai, some clients in Canada. So it's a little bit spread out, but
Yeah.
I guess to start with, the States would be a good one because we probably have 90% of our clients are in the States.
Yeah. I would start there.
Yeah, that's what I thought. What are some red flags to watch for in contracts with clients or contractors?
So my non-legal answer is
Hmm.
you always know, like, how many times have you had like a gut instinct about a person or a deal, and then you're like, I'm going to do it anyway. And then it ends up being bad. And you're like, I knew I shouldn't have done this. So I would say first step is always follow your gut. Someone can present you the most beautiful contract and you can still have a bad feeling, and like listen to that intuition. My legal answer is if somebody hands you a contract and it's written completely one-sidedly,
Mhm.
or they refuse to like negotiate with you, that person's going to be a difficult client.
So it's normal that there's some back and forth when you send a
Yes.
contract. There's room for negotiation and everything.
Yes. Yes. This is just a contract is just an initial offer. You always have the opportunity to redline it and make it more equal. And that's why like hiring a lawyer is so important, is to make sure that the contract is equal and fair.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good tip. I like the gut feeling. It's important because I've been in some situations where I didn't feel good about something, but I decided to do it anyway. And then it just,
Feel.
yeah, I think that's true. But do you have a little personal story about trademarking or contracts that have saved someone literally from a really bad situation?
I can tell you one that wasn't as happy of an ending.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Well,
I'll start with,
that's good to hear too. Guys, if you don't get contracts, that's what's gonna happen.
we always love an entertaining story, right? Got to bring some entertainment into the legal. So I had a client come to me, and there is a happy ending. There is a happy ending with this, but it started with a not so happy scenario. So I had a client, and she went to a conference for people in her industry.
Mhm.
And she was at a table, like at a round table, and people were making introductions. So you had to say your business name and what you did and where you were located. So it was her turn. She said her business name, and a woman who was not at the table but close by said, "What is your name?" And my client repeated her name, and she was like, "That's my business name."
Uh-oh.
So my client noticed that this woman left mid-conference. She just left the conference. And a few days later, this woman sent her a cease and desist and had her Instagram account shut down.
Oh, wow.
So what happened was this woman left the conference to trademark her name. So she was first to file her trademark. They had started the business around the same time. She reported the business for trademark infringement on Instagram, and she got enough people to report this woman that my client, who had 20,000 followers on Instagram, had her account permanently taken down. So she came to me extremely upset. And I will say that, like, the name that they were fighting over was not, in my personal creative opinion, it wasn't like the best name. I didn't love it. My client had to rebrand, and she chose an awesome name, and it's just about to be registered. So that's the happy piece, is she got a better business name, one that was legally available, and trademarked it before anybody else could, and got a fresh start with this name. But obviously not ideal to lose your Instagram account, which can happen. And I'll tell you another story about Instagram, not to scare you, but I have a trademark, and I'm about to launch something with that name, and somebody else had the Instagram account. And I was able to get it taken down because it was infringing on my trademark.
Yeah.
But like, they should have trademarked first, and they didn't, and they were infringing on my trademark. But like, I feel bad for them because, the bleeding heart in me feels bad because
Yeah.
I don't want anyone's business disrupted. But it happens all the time. And like, if Instagram is where you make money, you really don't want to get your account taken down. And the only way to protect your name is to trademark it and be able to show proof to Meta and Instagram and Facebook that you own it, or that you owned it first. So that is my horror story with a happy ending, because she did get a better name. But that's what happens all the time.
My God, yeah, you're the first story. Can you imagine being in an event with someone with the same company name?
I know. And she ran out and just waged war.
And yeah, I can't believe that lady just went mid-conference to trademark the name. That's crazy.
No.
But happy ending. So
Happy ending. She's very happy with her new name. It's a much better name.
yeah, good. She found you.
Yes.
But so how often should we? So the trademark. Okay, I think I understood. I got the message. I am going to look at your website right after the call. I got it.
You're like, loud and clear enough.
Yeah, scared enough. Even with the manifestation thing, I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm manifesting. 7, 8 figures, and
Yeah.
what would
Forget
this be?
that.
She will have a trademark. So that's a great one. Going back to contracts, I'm wondering how often we should be updating or reviewing contracts as the business grows.
Mm-hmm. So I think a couple times a year at least, but I would pay more attention to, like, anytime you have friction in a client relationship, look at your contract and make sure that, like, it couldn't have been avoided by language. So that's sort of my test, is like, anytime I have a client come to me with something like, oh, I didn't know that wasn't included, or I didn't know that, filing fees were extra, or whatever. I'll look at my contract and I'll be like, how can I make this more clear so that I don't get these questions? That's one, benchmark. If you're adding offers or adding services or changing the way you're doing things, that's another time to go back and revise your contracts and make sure that those new services are accounted for.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. So as I'm also a nice person, just like you. So for example, I have a term in my contract that says the payment is due from this date, from the moment I send the invoice. and I send two reminders, I believe. And then legally, I can charge them more, like, how do you call it? An extra fee on top because they're late for the payment.
Right.
I've never done it. So I keep sending because one, I feel bad. Second, I'm like, they're gonna be so pissed off that they're just gonna stop working with me.
Yeah.
But I have contracts, they've signed it, and it's annoying having to follow up. So the first two reminders are automated, of course. I use automations. But then when it's more than that, it gets really annoying, and I've never charged a client more because I always feel bad.
So this is the difference between like the practical side of law and like the realities of being a business owner. And under your contract, you're legally entitled to charge a late fee. And there might be some things you can do to like minimize that, like putting the clients on auto pay is a good solution. I do that and I think it's effective in like not having to collect manual payments because that way they get reminders that like they need to update their payment method.
Yeah.
But then you just kind of have to make the decision. Like I've had clients who are going through divorces or have deaths in the family, and they say, I just can't pay this bill right now. And, we always try to work with people because we're human beings before we're attorneys.
Yeah.
And I've just found that that's just the way I want to run my business and be a person in the world. So it's just a fine balance between keeping people, having people honor their word in their contracts and choosing when you want to have extenuating circumstances and allowances for those.
Yeah, that's a good point. Is there something else that we haven't discussed that you feel is really important to mention when it comes to trademarks or contracts?
So we've talked about, I think the earlier the better,
Yeah.
just because it's less expensive, your business will run smoother,
Mhm.
and you're acting in alignment with where you want to be. I think that's really powerful. So one thing we just started doing is we have a firm. So we have like payment plans that allow people to pay over a long period of time. So that's one thing that I like to mention because I think it's really helpful when people are starting businesses. They don't necessarily have like $3,000 to $5,000 to spend on legal protections. So we just
I know
started offering that.
the trademarking is a heavy investment. So
Yeah, it's about 3,000 with filing fees.
yeah, so that's why it's nice that you offer payment plans.
Yeah, so a lot of people will finance it
Well,
because
actually, I actually have a question. How long does it take from let's say tomorrow I come to you, I'm like, Berkley, I need to trademark ASAP. How long does it take, the entire process to get?
So from the time you fill out your questionnaire to the time we file, it's about 2 weeks, which includes doing a comprehensive search and making sure your name is able to be trademarked. So we try to expedite that process because we've seen that people will get beat by days, and we don't want that to happen. So once people hire us, it's our mission to do that as quickly as possible and get them filed, because the moment you file, you have priority over anyone who would come after you. From the time you file, it's about 6 to 8 months until we hear anything back from the US Patent and Trademark Office. And normally there are some complications and we have to overcome things with them. And there's some back and forth. It takes about 12 to 16 months on average to get fully registered.
Okay. Okay. I thought it would be shorter, but that makes sense. And
It's the government.
so in the case that I come to you and, oh, my name is already registered, then I have to revamp.
Yes.
So you can look for me what names are still available, and I can do that process with you of checking names and.
Yeah. So we include a second search in case you need to tweak your name. I say that we include only 2 searches, but I always work with clients to help them find a name that works, because you have to trademark whatever name you're picking, and we want it to be available.
Yeah, so I guess when I registered my company, we had to check that the name was available. So this has nothing to do with trademarking, just to be clear.
Right. So in the States, when you register an LLC, they won't let you pick a name that somebody has already taken in your state.
Mhm.
That has nothing to do with like whether it's available on a federal level
Okay.
or from like a trademark perspective.
Okay, so see, I mean, you've cleared a lot of questions that I had.
There are a lot of common misconceptions. You're not the only one.
So for now, I think I'm good with the contracts. Definitely need trademark. And for anyone who needs both or one or the other, where can they find you? I maybe we can talk about Instagram, your website.
Yes, I have all the links in my link in bio on Instagram. So you can access, you can start your trademark right from my website. I have a few payment plans on there. If you wanted to do a firm, just message me and I'll send you the link. And then the templates are on my template store and they can use your code to get 20% off.
Yay, perfect. Yeah, I'll add it to the description. And just because I'm very curious, how many people do you have on your team?
I have 5 people full time and then 3, maybe 4 people part time.
Wow,
Can
that's
you hear?
crazy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There was a little bit of a gap here. That's unbelievable. You've grown quite fast then.
Yes, we've grown a lot. We have like I want to say like 400 active clients right now, which is crazy. I was laughing with my paralegal who's been with me from the start about how he used to keep track of everyone on a Google sheet, and now like that would just be like total chaos. And we have a very pretty ClickUp dashboard with all of our clients and the statuses, and who blessed to grow and work with amazing female entrepreneurs.
I'm so happy that you mentioned ClickUp because that's also my go-to tool to use with my clients. Some of them are a little bit upset that they have to learn something new, but ClickUp has been amazing. It's helped us stay so organized. I can imagine with 400 active clients, it's crazy. You need a proper system. You have to be organized. I always say systems and processes are key. Just like
Yes.
trademark, when you get started, you've got to set up a few things that don't seem very fun, but they're essential because when you start getting busy, that's not the time that you're going to be.
No, we would not have been able to scale. I spend a lot of my time on systems and processes. That's a whole, other podcast episode.
Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe we can do another one where we talk about systems and processes.
Yes, I love all things business and business growth. So,
Well, yeah, it's been impressive seeing your growth, and I love your Instagram, all the reels, even with your kids. I think it's so
aw,
sweet because the all the legal stuff is not something that people get excited about, but you make it all feel more interesting and fun. So, yeah, congrats on all the content that you've been sharing and all the tips that you're
thank you.
sharing every day with everyone. It's
Thank you. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate the positive feedback because, as you know, as a business owner, sometimes you're just like, I can't do any more content.
I know, and you're doing so well, and you're a mom of three kids, right?
3 kids. Yeah.
Three kids. Well, you're doing so great. Congratulations.
Thank you. And thank you too. You're killing it.
But thank you so much for coming. I'm sure everybody's gonna find so much value in everything that you said. I'm gonna share your website, your Instagram, everything so that people can see how fun your content is and legal stuff can be enjoyable.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me on.